Hi, I wanted to have a nice discussion. As I've said before, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan and I love coming across the posts online. Everybody has so much to say about which one is their favourite. Now, I can tell you, and I think you already know, that number 10 is my favourite. My cat is called Una. I walked down the aisle to the same song that Tidus and Una kissed to. Mine was the violin version. It was beautiful, and it was a secret for me and my husband because a lot of our guests hadn't played Final Fantasy and they didn't know what it was from, but they did agree it was a beautiful piece to walk down the aisle to. I won't disagree with those vast majority who believe that number 7 is the best. I love number 7 too. It's a great game. I love the remakes as well. I feel like they've done a great job with them. I'm really looking forward to the next installment. But I am real big fan of the whole franchise. To be honest, I've played right from the beginning. I've played the originals on the PlayStation, and eventually I actually re-download I think they remastered them for the Android, iPhone, things like that. I've got mine. I think I've got Final Fantasy 3, the remaster on my phone, which I like to play from time to time. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. But yeah, for 10, I think the storytelling, the cinematics for the time was amazing. I love the romantic aspect. I'm a big fan of romance in books and films, and even anime. I watch a lot of anime with my husband. I like the romantic stuff. He likes your typical boy stuff. We both like Demon Slayer, to be fair. That is one of the big ones. I enjoyed that, the film. But hey, I digress. Um, you know, talking about Final Fantasy in this one, I'd love to know what in particular people find like the most compelling about 7 compared to the rest, because when you do a vote and a poll, number 7 is the big one that comes up there. I feel like a lot of them have their own sort of unique elements. That's great. I feel like 10 broke away from the mould quite a lot. It was the sort of first one to do that. I enjoyed 9. I love 9's story as well, actually. But I was late to come into the rest of them. 10 was my introduction. I was born in the 90s, so I played, more PlayStation 2 as I was a bit older. I played the PlayStation in my younger years, but I could barely do Crash Bandicoot and Spyro because I was quite young still. I'm not very late into my 30s. But I enjoyed 10. My brother played it for me initially, and eventually, when I was a bit older, I come back to the game a few years later, particularly when they remastered it for the PS3. I bought it again then and started from the start, and completed it. It took me a few years to then, get enough sort of gaming experience to be able to handle the extra stuff, the big bosses, the Dark Aeons, penance. Eventually, my husband took great delight in tormenting me that it was only a few years ago I managed to actually do that. Yeah, but I'd love to know everybody else's thoughts on it. Did anybody else struggle getting to that point? Did they just enjoy the story? Did they do more? 7, I spent a lot of my teens on 7. I had a version on my laptop that I played on for quite a lot in my spare time when I perhaps should have been studying for my GCSEs. But yeah, it's one of those games that's up there. At the time, like the majority, I was a bit disappointed with 13. I can appreciate it as a game in of itself, but in terms of a Final Fantasy game, I feel like it diverted so much so that it earned a lot of criticism. Some of it I don't think was unfounded. I enjoy the game. I just think as a Final Fantasy game, I don't enjoy it. I think a game in its own right, it's playable, but if you're comparing it too much to the other Final Fantasy games, there's a lot that it's let down in. And there's some stuff that's great, the graphics, the characters themselves, I feel like they're quite relatable, of endearing. I did play part 2 and part 3. I enjoyed them. My husband wasn't a big fan of part 3, but again, if you separate it from the franchise, I think they're good games in of themselves. I feel like I need to do a part 2 for Final Fantasy X Part 2 because I'm sure that also splits the internet, and I can't wait to hear more about that. So I guess we'll discuss that in part 2.